Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. There's a lot we're discussing. Of course, over the weekend we've had some fantastic sports stories to bring to your table as well. And now, of course, we start off with the Euros. Football has been absolutely exciting. The semi-final lineup has now been completed. Spain take on France, and it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. And then, of course, we move on to England, who are to face the Netherlands as well. It's all to play for. We had some exciting quarterfinals. Spain were brilliant when you talk about their game against Germany. France getting the better of Portugal. England superb on their day as well. It went down to penalties against Switzerland. Turkey, unfortunately, their Euros comes to an end, and of course the Netherlands qualified from there onwards as well. So we talk about who's going to take the crown, who's likely to make it to the finals, the predictions, the quarterfinal analysis, the semi-final lineup as well. It's all to talk about. Then we move on to the Copa America as well, where we've got that semi-final lineup completed, and I think Brazil being knocked out is a shocker in this Copa, but this was said on the show as well that you probably don't see them making it to the semis. Argentina, on the other hand, are now tipped to be the favorites, but it's going to be very interesting how the Copa semi-finals proceed as well. So we discussed that tactical analysis as well. Argentina taking on Canada and Uruguay taking on their opponents as well in detail. But it's been surprising, like I said. If you're beating Brazil and you're going to go against Argentina, if you courtesy both of them reach the final as well, but Colombia, you never know. But it's like I said, it's going to be down to that tooth and nail. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's exciting football when you talk about Copa and the Euro as well. Then we move on to cricket, and we discuss cricket in detail as well. The Pakistan Cricket Board has unveiled their share of the matches that they're to play as well. The Champions Trophy schedule is also on the cards. The 3 venues are going to be renovated. There's a lot of talk about that as well in detail. But of course, like I said, that first of all, the details of the 24-25 home international season has been announced. We've got Bangladesh, England and West Indies for 7 test matches. New Zealand, South Africa to feature in an ODI tri-series. Pakistan also is going to be touring Australia, Zimbabwe and South Africa in this as well. And of course, the Champions Trophy right now on your screens is one of those fixtures. Then of course, we move on to the World Championship of Legends. Pakistan dominating. I mean, surprisingly, it's not just memories, but it's great cricket that is being played there as well. And you can talk about Yunus Khan, you can talk about Afridi, Shoaib Malik, everybody, Shoaib Maqsood in the form of his life. Pakistan are absolutely cruising. So they're hypothetically through to the semis. It's going to be very, very interesting that we talk about Pakistan's campaign there as well. Tipped to be the favorites to win a tournament. And of course, I think need of the hour for the Pakistani nation as well. So we'll discuss all about that. Time now to introduce our guest. First of all, we start off with football. Joining us is our sports expert, Mr. Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm very well.
Thank you for joining us. We've also been joined by a football expert, Taha Haider. Assalamu alaikum, Taha. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us as well. Of course, exciting, Ali Mehdi. This was the kind of football we wanted. I mean, we'll start by game until I come to one of my favorites. But let's start with this semi-final lineup now that we've got. So, of course, France and Spain through to the first semi-final. Spain have played quality football. Their quarterfinal against Germany was exciting. France, Portugal, on the other hand, a pretty dry one. But then again, France have made it through.
Look, if you talk about these 2 quarterfinals, these 2 quarterfinals were the ones which we're looking forward to. The other quarterfinals, yes, obviously is part of the Euros, but these were, you could say, that the real hyped up matches. These were the intense matches we were looking forward to. And Spain versus Germany, it really lived to the billing. I think it was the best match of the tournament of the Euros till now. I mean, high action, high premium, and then high you could say high octane football to both ends. I mean, Spain played extremely well. Germany played very well. Germany shaded the possession to tactically, they obviously attacked the Spanish, but the Spanish were extremely good with possession too. And when they got their opportunities, they converted. The first goal was a very good goal. Olmo actually converted a very good goal. He was assisted by Yamal, and then he actually passed it into the net. And then when Germany were actually going out of the tournament around the 88th, 89th minute, I think it was Wirth, he actually scored. a very, very good volley goal. And then when it went to extra time, there was action on both ends. There was also a penalty appeal, obviously, on Cucurella too. But then at the end of the day, Spain actually, a beautiful cross was actually drifted in, and then Moreno scored an incredible header over there. And Spain actually shaded this match, which really could have gone either way. And really, out of these two teams, none of them deserved to actually bow out. But at the end, this was the best match of the Euros.
Well, certainly, I think it was. Taha, how would you analyze both the teams now, Spain and France, into the semis facing each other? But like I said, Spain had their share of football against Germany. Beating Germany at home has got to be, tremendous mental strength, not just quality football.
I think obviously Spain are now favourites to win the Euros, go all the way. But I think we can never count out France. Their players, their individual qualities, such as players like Mbappe and even Griezmann, and their defensive line is very solid with Saliba and Upamecano. And I think they can, on their day, they can really just dominate the game even against a team like Spain that's performing out of this world at this point. But I do think that Spain will in the end go through with their strength, and I think the main part, of course, will always be how their attackers, especially wingers Williams and Yamal, will be able to get through France's defensive fullbacks, which are Koundé and Theo Hernandez.
Well, when you talk about France versus Portugal, the dry game probably. I think fans were probably expected more from it. But then again, on the other side, they're discussing Cristiano's future as well, what's going to happen to him with the way this goes. But, like I said, a dry spell of a game that.
Yeah, that was particularly dry because of the fact that both Mbappe is really not that in the form of his life. He's also had a broken nose surgery. So he's not really going all out basically to an extent. And with no Pogba in their midfield, there's no maestro that's running the game. So they're not creating as many chances. And with Portugal, Ronaldo obviously is one of the best players of all time, but he's now 39 years old and he needs to rest. He can't play all 120 minutes and you expect him to do everything. You also need to create chances with other players, and you need to bring on players like Diogo Jota, who are really impact players that can help them score goals, and which they did not really
Certainly. Well, of course, now coming to the other two games as well. We are going to come to Turkey and the Netherlands, but first of all, England versus Switzerland. A match, I think, worthy of a final. It was an absolute superb game. And talk about that goal from Saka. It's got to be, Ali Mehdi, one of the best of the Euros so far.
Rizwan Bhai is actually watching the match, is watching this telecast and watching this live, and he would have been very proud of the way Saka scored a brilliant, typical goal he scores for Arsenal week in and week out. And what a brilliant goal it was, to save your country. Your country is going out after a brilliant goal scored, a very good goal actually, which the defenders weren't able
defensive error, simple as
I would say defensive error, but it was actually a well-made goal from the wing too, and actually then the striker actually managed to actually tap it in. But the way Saka responded, he got the ball on his favorite left foot and then curled it into the net. It was an absolute fabulous goal. And then going forward, then both teams really tried. I mean, you talk about Switzerland, they also tried their very best, but I thought this was England's best performance of this Euros. I thought they could only get better. And we were talking a little bit about France earlier too. I feel that there are two teams which are really going to get better, and they could really upset the apple cart. It could be France versus England. I mean, the way we could actually, I've always dreamt of a France versus England Euro or a World Cup final, and I genuinely believe they can have it we can have this time. We could be treated to this. And the reason I say that, Ahmed, is because France have been abysmal till now. We know that how well they can play. Should it be in the World Cup 2018 when they were absolutely brilliant throughout that tournament, and then obviously when they won the Nations League in the second edition too. But then going forward, in 2022, they just didn't have that knack. Obviously they went to the final, they played very well, but France is a team which actually gets better as you progress. So I can only expect them to give a real run for their money against Spain, and Spain is young, relatively young. The likes like Mbappe still have to fire. The likes like Many still have to fire. I thought Dembele was brilliant when he came on, and he actually made the big difference too. So I actually think too, and then Griezmann has been poor. But you're talking about England versus Switzerland over here. England actually played very well, and I have to say two players who I thought were brilliant on that day. Kobbie Mainoo, the star boy from Manchester United, and then obviously Xhaka. The way those two combined, and along with the Foden also did very well.
Xhaka did have demons of 2020.
Yeah, he did have demons, but that's the thing. He's now mature. This is 3 years on from the.
He called it redemption of 2020.
Yeah, it was redemption of that, and the way the English took those penalties. Look, they really mean business
But
right now.
Ali Mehdi, I'm glad you're coming to that. Only twice in the history of English football have England scored their complete penalties in a major tournament. 1996 at Wembley against Spain, of course, and Switzerland this time in 2024.
1996 against Spain, I remember that was in Euro 96, and that was obviously at Wembley too. So I mean, and after so many years, you're talking about after 30, about 26 years later, about 28 years later, they're doing it. Look, England, this team with Southgate, Southgate has been he's been beaten around the bush too. But one thing he's brought about is maturity to this English team. They have, maybe tactically he's not gotten it right, but he's getting the best out of his players when it matters the most. You talk about the game in the previous game too. The way actually Bellingham actually saved them, and then obviously in this game too, the way when it mattered the most, they delivered. So that's what it counts. It doesn't matter how you perform on the day; it's how you get through, and that's what they've been able to do. And then when it came to the penalties, I only saw one winner, and that was England. And the reason I say that is because they are now matured. You're talking about the likes of Saka has matured, the likes of Foden has now matured. The likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, the Liverpool man, he's been actually very good.
Pickford, I think, simple as
and then
that.
obviously
He's made the real difference.
He Pickford too. But the way the English took the penalties, I really feel that they can only get better.
Before we move on to the matchups as well for England versus Netherlands, Taha, your analysis of England's game against Switzerland, and then of course moving down to penalties and everything that was involved in the game. Probably Saka gave them that lifeline. Saka is one of the reasons why they've moved on to the semis as well.
Yeah, of course. Saka and England overall stepped up their game and performed much better than they were performing beforehand. And the fact that Saka was given the freedom to play in that role which he prefers, like he does at Arsenal, did make the difference, which allowed him to score the goal. Other than that, I think Switzerland as well were really good, and especially after Xherdan Shaqiri who came on, he really created chances. And that corner which he hit the crossbar or post direct from the corner, which was a very good chance, and it might have even gone in and could have won Switzerland the game.
I understand Ali Mehdi said that Southgate has been under the wire by British media, but Taha, it looks like that obviously when you're winning, all of his changes are seeming like picture perfect at the moment.
They do seem picture perfect, but I think that Harry Kane has still been misfiring. He's dropping in a little too deep, and that is allowing the other team to stop the England's crosses quite easily, because he's not that frequently available in the box, which is not really what you want from a striker with Harry Kane's ability to poach, Harry Kane's poaching ability to finish goals.
How do you pitch them now if you see this English side with this new self-belief now, because they've made it to the semis against the best defense right now in the Euros in the form of the Netherlands?
I think it will be a tough game. If England can keep up this performance and step it up even a bit more, then maybe they have a chance. But I still feel that the Netherlands are in terrific form, and they could even beat Spain to the Euros and go all the way, especially with the form Gakpo's in. He's insane at this point.
Well, that probably can make a big difference to the Euros as well. Not to mean only to the Dutch campaign, but Ali Mehdi, the Dutch against Turkey, they've had their share of pressure games as well, and I must give credit to Turkey. I think they should have their heads up high.
Look, the first half was completely dominated by Turkey. Turkey were absolutely fabulous. Gula, there is a reason that he is probably going to be the golden boy winner this year. He was absolutely phenomenal. That cross for that goal was just absolutely brilliant. The high intensity, they really bothered the Turkish defense too. And it was, the thing is that they were running the show for majority of the match. Obviously, the Netherlands had their chances. They got into those spaces, made it difficult too. But Turkey, with that back five, it made it so hard for the Netherlands. And You know, it was around that blip. They had a blip in between the 70th and 80th minute where obviously those goals came in. When, you know, obviously the Ridge actually he actually scored off a this Memphis cross. And the problem with that goal was that none of the Turkish defenders, they were tired. They were not marking the players properly too. There was no zonal or, you know, zonal marking for that matter. He was actually left free. So he actually scored a really good goal. And then after that, obviously, the own goal too. But the thing is that the Turkish just switched off for about 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes proved critical for them, because had they actually managed to keep up that intensity, it would have been very hard for the Dutch. Yes, they tried towards the end. It was a lot. I mean, you could say that they really stepped up to the plate towards the last 5 minutes and into extra time. But the problem was it was just too late. They were not able to find that clinical finish. And at the end, you know, that maturity by the Dutch actually held its place. And, you know, rightfully so, they are actually one of the teams in the semi-finals now.
Well, they can be, but, you know, then again, Ali Mehdi, if you were to analyze England tactically going against the Dutch, where is this semi-final most likely to go to?
Look, this is going to be a fabulous game, and you know, this match hasn't happened for a time. Look, this is going to be a match I feel it's going to be played in the middle, because the Dutch are going to make it very difficult for the English to get through. The Dutch defense, as Taha mentioned, really rightfully so, their defense has been absolutely brilliant. The form in the form of, they have a leader in the form of Virgil van Dijk, and then De Vrij is obviously over there too. And then you know, I think those two can be very good. Obviously, the keeper is there too, but it will be that midfield battle. How will the midfield do? How will Declan Rice go against, you know, the likes of Bergwijn too, and then, you know, that midfield too? How will Memphis perform? Because Memphis till now has been very poor. If there's any player who's really been firing for them, it's Gakpo. He's been absolutely brilliant, cutting in from the left side, you know, from the right side too. And then I actually feel that if you look tactically, it's going to be a game of not many goals. It's going to be in the middle of the pitch. It's going to be a bit scruffy too. But at the end of the day, it really depends who's going to step up onto the plate that day. I feel that Harry Kane has not had his best game till now. I feel that if he really steps up to the plate, he's only going to get better. And if if he doesn't come behind and he stays in the box, he could get have a critical game.
So you're going with England with this one?
I'm going for England.
It's coming home, isn't it?
I think they're going to make the final. I think they are.
But Ali, you predicted England in this one. Before I move on to Taha for the final comments, I understand a lot of people have already given Spain the Euros. France, you can never remove.
No, I don't think so. I actually feel France, like I mentioned before, are going to get better. I've been following French football for a long time, and look, the French is one thing. Never underestimate the French. The French have been poor till now, but they're into the semi-finals. They've had some battle-hardened games. They've had to play against the Belgium, who are a tricky team. Then obviously Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. They're only going to get better. Mbappe is serving his best against the Spanish. The Spanish are good, very good. Still, I feel a bit immature, but they've gotten it through. But look, if Mbappe fires, if the likes of Dembele, who's brilliant, he fires too, their defense is absolutely brilliant too, and then that midfield in the forms of Kante, Tuchel, many actually perform. I actually am going to go, and I think people are going to be surprised, but I'm going to give it to France this match.
So you're going with France and England. Simple as that.
I want a France, and the reason I want a France, I want a battle of
England, France. So who does
that would be like a Pakistan-India final.
Who doesn't remember that rivalry? I must say, but Taha. Let's just take your prediction straight on Spain versus France and then England versus the Netherlands.
I think Spain will probably come out on top as things have been going so far, but France, of course, their players, if Griezmann steps up, he's the big chance creator that the side have, and if he can create good chances, they will obviously have Mbappe up top, who can score from almost anywhere in the box. So if Griezmann steps up and creates chances for Mbappe, I think France will have the better chance, but I think at this point it's Spain.
Well, certainly. So Spain and the Netherlands, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going that way. I think England, France. I'll be honest. I do see that happening. I think Spain have just played quality football. I just don't want to jinx them, but you never know. I believe.
But wouldn't it be amazing, Ahmed? France versus England. This is what we've always wanted. It literally is like a Pakistan-India, as you could say in cricket too. So France versus England. Believe me, the whole world will be watching.
Well, then again, if that happens, then me and you are going to wish we were in London. So
definitely.
So that's what because I have been seeing all all demons unleashed, everything happening in that game in the past when you look at those highlights. But if you talk about that energy that the English have brought to this Euro so far, I think it's bound to take them somewhere. So you never know. But Taha and Ali Mehdi, thank you very much for joining us. We take a short break now. When we come right back, we discuss cricket. Stay. Welcome back to Sports Extra, and now we move on to cricket. It's not just the calendar of Pakistan cricket's events that has been announced, but there have been certain decisions taken as well. A huge sum of money has been allocated for renovation of Lahore, Karachi and Pindi Cricket Stadiums for the Champions Trophy. At the same time, there has been an increase in the salaries of women cricketers, not even thrice the amount that they were getting. So that's a positive development. At the same time, fitness tests have started. The Champions Trophy is also on the cards. There's a lot happening in Pakistan cricket, but I think the most important part of it is something that's happening today. And that's the meeting which is deciding the fate of Babar Azam and what's future course going to happen. It involves former cricketers. It also involves Gary Kirsten, who's going to make that call as well. That, of course, meeting includes former cricketers like Misbah-ul Haq is there. Moin Khan is also to debate upon that. Waqar Yunus is also part of it. So a lot of names there who will be deciding that fate. And let's see which way Pakistan cricket goes. But I think probably Kirsten's going to play that major role as well. To discuss all of these developments and the Pakistan Cricket Board's future in course of action as well, in studios we've been joined by first-class cricketer and cricket expert Kashif Majid. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum salam, Ahmed. Perfectly all right.
Thank you for joining us. Now, a lot of developments are happening, but I think first of all is Pakistan's calendar of cricket that they are playing. 7 test matches in between, and then of course we talk about the tri-series, which is tipped to be very important before that Champions Trophy.
I guess 7 test matches is too few. We have to seriously consider those number of test matches. Let's not get into this T20 saga anymore, and let's find out the real cricket, the class of the cricket. And you find out the finalist for this year's or the champions of this year's T20 World Cup. You find out the quality test cricketers playing out there. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, all those guys. Even Rishabh Pant is a quality test cricketer, hitting the ball, very first ball for a 6 in his test cricket, and then winning a match in Australia, let alone be the superstar of this series. So we have to find out this test cricket is still the most important aspect of this game, and eventually the class of the cricketers are defined by this cricket. So let's hope Pakistan Cricket Board will find out more opportunities to play test cricket round, and 2-match test series is nothing as compared to all those rivalries, so-called rivalries going on. We do talk about Ashes, that is a 5 test matches series, but what is that rivalry we called about India and Australia, or India versus England? Is this the rivalry too? If it is not the rivalry of the two nations. It is the rivalry of ICC versus the revenue earning model, and most probably we have to think on those notes too.
And Kashif, I'm not sure how I can technically analyze this, but I think the concept of having a 2 test match series should probably be eliminated. I don't care how it affects the schedule and how they decide that, World Test Championship, but 2 test match series, and that too in conditions like Pakistan, is probably that would be, not even interesting for the fans anymore.
Ahmed, I still believe with all those economically sound countries, they prefer 5 test match series because of those revenue based models and all those things. But considering Pakistan, where people are eager to go to the stadiums, I still remember Rawalpindi Stadium jam packed when a test match happened, years back or 2 years back, and so does Multan. Yes, Lahore, Karachi we do find certain empty seats, but when it comes to the test cricket in Lahore, in Rawalpindi, Multan, we can contribute to the test cricket so much as a nation, just not the revenue, but the quality of the cricket, even the crowd itself from the Pakistan, it's way too supporting. But I still believe 2 test matches without being any warm-up match being played before the start of the series, it's just fun. We just wanted to get over with this test series and go to the prime thing, that is T20 series. Most probably this is how it works these days, that every team wants to play T20 and no one is interested in playing a 5-day match. But imagine for a moment that 5-day test matches, the last series we played in Australia, it was a quality cricket. Every now and then, every single day we think we are on top of Australia. We think that we are handling them very well down under. But at the end of the day, it's the nerves of them and the experience of them which got better of us. And I still believe we have got a quality test team. And let's find out a way to put them more into the ground and play those white kits again.
Well, major development, Kashif, before I move on to what's happening today, is the fact that PCB's budget has also been approved for the fiscal year, and there's been a huge sum of money that has increased, especially for women and domestic cricketers. So I think that's a great sign. How would you comment on that? And then if you look at the money allocated for the renovation or infrastructure development of three venues for the Champions Trophy, Lahore, Karachi and Pindi, is certainly a great sign, and I think a lot of credit needs to be given to Chairman PCB. But the fact is that how much can you improve them? I mean, for Pindi Cricket Stadium, just a couple of months remaining, what can you achieve out of that stadium?
Still lot. I still believe those stadiums are not renovated from the scratch. They were there, the structure were there, and it's just little improvements we wanted to have them, because it will be our showcase event for the upcoming year, that is even for the world of cricket, that is Champions Trophy. But I would like to comment more on that, enhance in the salaries of the domestic cricketers. I really wanted them to being paid hefty amounts, because for the last 5 years or 6 years, when we talked about those 6 team models, I still believe there are a number of cricketers who just quit game of cricket, their beloved game, their passion, just because they haven't got the chance to play for any of those domestic sides and haven't got the money to actually buy all those things. I just recently, Ahmed, I was in Sialkot yesterday and going through all those factories and all those things. The cricket bat itself is so expensive these days, and all those gears and equipment is so expensive these days. It's just not easy for a club cricketer to start playing cricket again, or it's not easy for a domestic cricketer to look after the family as well as look after his cricketing.
Maybe we should have you sponsored by FJ, probably. That can probably help your cases.
I wish the dream come true for me. I wish, and I guess some very keen ears are listening. Some beautiful eyes are watching this. So most probably we will be getting those sponsors. Let's hope one day. Although my performances speaks for itself. So let's move on.
Performance-based sponsorship.
Yes, I still believe that the merit should prevail, and it should have a sponsor through merit and the performances. But most importantly, domestic cricketers do need sponsors. Thanks for putting up this comment in a lighter note. But domestic cricketers do need sponsors. I'll be in ground after half an hour. I'll be seeing some of the PSL plays, and I will be with some of the KPL plays, and believe me, they're still buying cricket bats from their own pocket.
I mean, me and you just met a couple of youth cricketers, national cricketers obviously from Scotland, and they were sponsored by Grey Nichols.
Oh yes, and we know the quality of the cricket there.
Yes.
We know the infrastructure there, and we do know that Pakistan versus Scotland is always a one-sided affair, and even our domestic side can go and play out the Scotland's national team. So, and our domestic side, when we talk about any team, any department for that matter, they have got quality cricketers, and some of them are still buying those gears from their own pocket, and it's just not easy. You know, buying a pair of spikes for that matter is we are talking about in thousands now, or maybe it's crossing 50,000 above. So it's just not easy, and most probably those amounts distributed to all those individuals who are performing very well, and merit should prevail.
Certainly. And now, of course, you move on to the development of today. Kashif, how do you see things happening now? A lot of sectors, I must say, a lot of sectors have probably indicated very harsh changes coming. And I understand that, right now the very hot topic for Pakistan is the captaincy of Babar Azam. And I don't know what they announced right now. They're not focused on T20 cricket. Obviously, they've got a Champions Trophy coming at home. Gary Kirsten is part of that meeting. A lot of former cricketers, about 6 to 7 of them, are also part, who are eventually going to decide the fate of not Babar Azam, but the future of Pakistan cricket.
Okay, Chairman Cricket Board talked about certain senior players who talk sense. So let's find out who those guys are. And if those guys do talk sense, why are they not a part of the PCB, or they want to work alone, or in the capacity of a consultant, or just an advisor? So find out for all those guys. Second important thing, where the club cricket is. Let's start from club cricket taking on towards the Pakistan, where the club cricket is. We both know we are playing a club cricket tournament, and we know this is the month for the club cricket in Islamabad or in Rawalpindi. If this is the month of the club cricket with all those rains or all those monsoons and all those humidity and all those vectors, it's just not easy for the cricketers. Second important thing, you talk about the question the put forward was, cricketing affairs. Why are we so bothered about T20 cricket? We are not playing any ICC event in, I guess,
until
coming year.
2026.
Until 2026 or most probably the bilateral series in the coming year. We do talk about Test cricket and one day, and we do talk about a tri-nation being held in Pakistan for after like so many years. So let's go with the flow for some time and start talking about Test cricket. Eventually, dust will settle us, and eventually we'll be thinking on a very more positive and precise note. Making hustle to coming to okay, let's find out this way. They announce a T20 captain even tomorrow. What does that T20 captain will do in coming year? Because he haven't go through any criteria or any performance matters or any tournament, so that we can find out that he's a quality captain.
Yeah, I'm more interested on what strategy they're going to make for a T20 team. I think that's going to be very important, how you analyze that.
It's important that how we go about our T20 business within the domestic structure. How do we find out the quality players, and what are those quality players? We have to put a criteria for those quality players. We do talk about intent. Is intent means going out and slogging the balls every single delivery. We do talk about aggression and aggressive approach. Virat Kohli classically built that inning in the final and won the match, won the final for India with then strike rate of 120, 130, I guess. So it's one of occasion, but in the final, it is the occasion, the most important occasion, and he does that with a career strike rate of 137. That is the most phenomenal strike rate. Yes, that strike rate along with average makes a person.
But a lot of people have been giving this example that, Virat left and you look at India, Virat is more easier now. They had Rohit Sharma as a skipper. Who do you have? I mean, you need to create that name as well, but I think that those decisions we're probably going to know by tomorrow, the way things unfold at PCB. Now, of course, we've got to take you to the world of champions, the legends who are playing in England, and Pakistan has been on an absolute roll. They have hypothetically qualified for the semi, still unbeaten in the tournament, yet to play South Africa in that game as well. But the fact is that, one of the favourites now to win the finals, and as it was rightly put by Yunus Khan, that the nation needs it right now. But superb performances. I mean, frankly, Kamran Akmal back to extra cover days. Shoaib Maqsood is in the form of his life that I have doubts now of the T20 squad that we announced. Then you look at Shoaib Malik's fitness, Sohail Khan's bowling, something that I've never seen him do is, skill level is spot on, the match awareness, everything in between. Kashif, the legends have given some great cricket right now to Pakistani fans.
So with all those praise for those legends, let's conclude this that we want a match between the legends and the current team. So find out who is
the
still
fitness of Yunus Khan.
Fitness of Yunus, Yasir Rafat, Misbah, the great Shoaib Malik with those fitness. I still believe they have got so much left in them. Yes, of course, with this age factor and with this new generation coming, but you talk the very important factor, the match awareness. That is it. We do need players who knows how to conclude a match and how to go about their business in a certain match, and we are lacking those. I still remember Rizwan versus Bumrah. That shot most probably cost us so many matches in this T20 World Cup. Most probably a victory or a semi-final place. But important thing was is the match awareness can be just put it into their brains, or the experience tells them, or the most probably the word accountability. If any of those guys have let the team down, is anyone accountable? I still remember Ramiz Raja scoring a century, a very mean century in the very first match of 92, and he was dropped for 2 matches, and Zahid Fazal opened the innings for Pakistan. I still remember Kapil Dev dropped a single time in his entire career. He was dropped by Sunil Gavaskar for playing a rash stroke or something like that. Damian Martin, 1993 against South Africa, that rash stroke, he became the scapegoat and couldn't play the Test cricket for the coming 7 years. I don't want those things to happen in Pakistan, but I still want some sort of accountability, and this match awareness is very important for all those players playing cricket.
It was a treat for them to beat India all of a sudden. I think that Uthappa wicket really did it. He was the main factor in that. But thank you very much, Kashif, for joining us. That wraps up Sports Extra for me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.